What's going on, everybody? We're back again, but this time we're doing a World Series Games 1 and 2 preview here. Games 1 is tonight and Game 2 is tomorrow night. Gotta say, looks like a very interesting World Series here. We got the Dodgers versus the Astros. Two teams that I kind of predicted in the middle of the season, but I wasn't solid on my pick. But yeah, what can you say? The Dodgers got here with the best record in the NL. Actually, in the major league, in the bigs, they have the best record in the bigs. They've completely steamrolled through the NL. They swept the Diamondbacks and they beat the Cubs in 5 games. They look great right now. Pitching staff looks solid. Bullpen is probably the best bullpen out of both of these teams. And their lineup is extremely dangerous, 1 through 8. And when they go to the AL Park, 1 through 9 is going to be very hard to get out. On the flip side, we have the Astros here, a team that was in front for most of the season, got caught by Cleveland there. Finished with the second best record in the AL. They were a pleasant surprise this year. It's about time that they put those pieces together. They made a huge move acquiring Verlander right at the deadline, and they have a formidable 1-2 in their pitching staff here. So let's jump into this preview here in games 1 and 2. We're gonna have Kershaw versus Keuchel tonight, and I don't even think Dave Roberts has announced who would start game 2. It's either Darvish or Rich Hill versus Verlander. But jumping into game 1 here. The Dodgers are facing Dallas Keuchel. Astros are facing Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw is one of the best pitchers on the planet, and he's played really well in the postseason. He has been a victim of the long ball, but he has pitched very well. He's gotten to the 5th and the 6th in both of his starts. He's on the 5th, I think, twice. He got into the 6th once, but he pitched very well against the Cubs. I feel like he could have went out there into the 7th, but they had a comfortable lead. They didn't need to burn him anymore. When the Dodgers used Kershaw for 5 to 6, they handed over to that bullpen, and that bullpen has been their calling card throughout the whole postseason here. Those guys pitched 4 or 5 innings at a time, and those guys locked down. Against the Cubs, they allowed, I think, 1 base runner, 2 base runners all series. And what can you say? You turn it over to the 9th, you get Kenley Jansen in there. Most of the time, it's locked down. For the Astros, their bullpen has been a major question mark in the postseason. They went to McCullers in Game 7, who pitched 4 innings out of the bullpen. They completely did not use their bullpen in that game. What can you say, though? They had to use McCullers. He pitched very well in his relief effort. He got I think a 4-inning save or something like that. It was great baseball to watch. The Astros beat the Red Sox in 4 games, and they beat the Yankees in 7 games. So they're battle tested a little bit more than the Dodgers, but I think the Dodgers have an advantage here in that they're getting a little bit more rest. I think they have the advantage in the bullpen. I think they have the advantage in their lineup, and I think they have the advantage in the pitching staff in terms of depth and quality almost. For the Astros, you almost have the top 2 starters, which is Keuchel and Verlander. For the Dodgers, you have Kershaw, Hill, Darvish, Alex Wood. Those guys are very formidable pitchers. They'd be a lot of teams' aces or 1-2 guys. But jumping into game 1, I think the Dodgers here will have a lot of success against Keuchel. I think they only have maybe a couple lefties, which is Seager, who is back, Bellinger, and I think that would be it who would start for this game for them. You look at what the Dodgers have done with their lineup. Justin Turner has been playing lights out. Probably the most underrated third baseman in the game. He had a huge LCS. He was named co-MVP with Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor, who's come out of nowhere, turned into a very solid hitter, and he's probably one of the best leadoff men in the game. For this team, it works perfectly. They don't tend to steal a lot of bases, but they're very aggressive on the base pass. I think Taylor led the team in steals this year. Jumping down into that lineup, you have Yasiel Puig, who's played really great in the postseason. He's killing it with runners in scoring position. I think he batted over 400 during the LCS. He's turned into a very solid hitter, and he's turned into a clutch hitter late in games. They get Seager back, so having Seager back is going to make the Dodgers be able to use full depth here with their lineup. You could have Culberson off the bench, Jock Peterson off the bench, Andre Ethier off the bench. Guys like that where they could just have Taylor at shortstop. Seager at shortstop and Taylor playing the outfield positions here. And then you have Cody Bellinger, who's probably going to win NL Rookie of the Year, and he turned it on towards the end of that LCS too, as he might have been pressing a little bit, but he's played well. Now for the Astros and their lineup. Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa have been phenomenal in the whole postseason. Altuve should win AL MVP. But yeah, I mean, outside of those two, the production has to come. Springer didn't have a great LCS. Josh Reddick didn't have a great LCS. Gaddis had a clutch home run. McCann was huge in Game 7. But those guys need to be able to turn it on in this series, because the Dodgers, once they get into that bullpen, they're almost unhittable, untouchable type of stuff. And then you have Kershaw versus that lineup. I think Kershaw should have good success. As long as he gets into the 6th inning and Roberts doesn't try to put him out there for the 7th, I think that the Dodgers can win this game. For Keuchel, the plan is simple. The Dodgers are very patient hitters. You have to be in the zone, but they can't hurt you. So you have to look for that. Because Keuchel's a very good pitcher, but he kind of got lit up in Game 5 in the LCS. So that's something to look at here. My Game 1 prediction is that I think that the Dodgers will win. I think that they'll win 4-1. I just think that lineup is too good. I feel like Kershaw is going to, pitch lights out in this game because it's his first World Series appearance and he gets to pitch in the World Series. I think it's a huge thing. And the Dodgers, once they get into that 7th, 8th, and 9th, you're gonna see Morrow, Maeda, and Kenley. So I think that'll just be a wrap right there. In Game 2, though, we have Verlander versus, I guess we'll say Rich Hill right here. I think Verlander's going to come out and throw bullets. The Dodgers will go to their lineup that they see when they face righties, which probably includes Chase Utley, and maybe Grandal will play, maybe not, and maybe some Jock Peterson out there. I don't know. Maybe Ethier. They tend to use like a little bit of a flip lineup based upon the handiness of the pitcher. And for the Astros, I'm pretty sure they'll stick with their same lineup because it'd be another lefty with Rich Hill. I think that we'll see the Astros win this game. I think they'll split the first two. I just think Verlander's been pitching so great. I know that going from the AL to the NL for teams, it's a whole different ballgame. You have to use double switches. You have to know how to use your bullpen. You have to use, make changes in your lineup. You can't just bat 1 through 9 with the DH. So I think the Dodgers will have the advantage there. But I think in Game 2, AJ Hinch will just rely on Verlander for at least 7 to 8 innings, and then he'll turn it over to Giles, is my guess. But the Dodgers have done a great job of making these relievers work. Look what they did to Wade Davis in Game 4. Even though the Cubs won Game 4, they made him throw 40 pitches. He's probably unavailable for Game 5 if that game was close. So that's something to look at. And I don't think the Dodgers have a problem with Verlander throwing over 130 pitches again. I don't think he'll do that again. But I just think that this game will be more of a 2-1 game, 3-1, 3-2, a one-run game pretty much. I think that the Astros will win it because of how dominant Verlander has been. And because of that, the series will be 1-1 going to Houston. We're going to do a whole nother preview for Games 3, 4, and 5 because it's a different type of thing. First 2 games, you get a travel day. So it's something that we get to look more at and have more stats and updated numbers when we're looking at it. That's going to do it for my World Series preview. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.